Okay, and I believe we are live on YouTube. Welcome, guys. I'm not sure who's here yet or who isn't. We'll wait for everybody
Sam's
to
here.
hop in the
Hi,
chat.
Sam.
But while people are busy joining us, right, and I'll give the shout outs to everybody who's joined us just now. Just the introduction. Welcome to Layerz, where we think, where we mix more and think less. Almost got that wrong. Just want to thank Bryson from Flavora for making this all possible. So boom, fist pump, like every other time. And then I want to introduce the hosts for tonight. Of course, I'm just Theo. Then there's Liam. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey everybody, name's Liam. Sherlock Holmes on ELR. You might know me from my spamming of recipes in all of the Facebook groups. And I'm a flavor tester as well, so love this stuff.
Yeah. Liam's got a gig at Chef's, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's right. Flavor testing for chefs on the single flavor concentrates, just to give people an idea of how they taste.
Cool. And then we've got the Dietzenstein.
Yes, Deets. Nothing as interesting as Liam with a super cool flavor testing as a job. But I'm Deets on Facebook, on ATF, on ELR. And yeah, so yes, just a very avid and actually not avid, obsessed with mixing and DIY. That's it.
Yeah, so I'm Theo. You can find me on ATF as the FogVlog. Also, of course, please subscribe to this. This is a collaboration channel, of course, the FogVlog on YouTube. You can also find all of us at Mixologist on Facebook. And that's where we kind of hang out. So a lot of videos and recipes and stuff being shared in there. So yeah, come and join us over there. But let's quickly say hello to everybody in chat. Okay, who do we have in chat here? We've got Tam Vapes. Hello, Tam, the Tamster. Nice to see you, man. Always supporting us. Mark SR. Mark, welcome. We did a mixer review on Mark SR's mixes. We picked some of the mixes. I think he got, I think it was one banger, 2 tips. I think that was the score. There was a couple of fist bumps and stuff as well. Very, very cool profile. If I have that, Deets, maybe if you can just quickly share that for everybody in chat. Welcome, Subaru Nerd Vapes. I think this is the second time I see you here. Very cool to have you here. Vaughan Else, South African. Very cool to have you here. Ingvar, am I saying that correctly? Ingvar, right? And Muhammad Saeed. I've got Tashi here. Welcome, Tashi. Nice to see you. We've got VDog55. Welcome, VDog. We've got Kane BR. Welcome. And I think that's pretty much it. I'll say hello again to everybody that joins a little bit later, and catch up on the chat. But I think let's jump off. Let's just get right into it, right, with flavor notes. So today's episode is about FLV Apple Filling. And this was an interesting one for me. I think, I like to mix with fruits, not so much fruits that are designed for desserts specifically, which I think this is. So it challenged me a little bit, but it's nice. It's nice to be challenged and, think on your feet, try and figure things out. But before we jump into the layers and stuff that we created, I just want to run through the notes. Okay, so guys, did you guys pick up any medicinal vibes or harshness from Apple Filling? Deets?
I didn't find any funny, strange, super off notes. The only thing that I found was the cinnamon that's in it, but it is an apple filling, and it does have cinnamon in it normally. So nothing funny or medicinal or super strange from my side. Liam, did you pick anything up?
No harshness or medicinal notes or anything. I did pick up a very slight clove or anise like taste really deep in the background, but I think it's just the tail end of that cinnamon.
So what did you guys think about it? Like, did you think this is a red or a green apple? Deets?
I think it's to me it's more of a green apple. If you push it high enough and the apple is there, it's like a cooked, sorry, not green, a cooked red apple. Like a ripe apple, those sweet type of apples, not the tart or sour apples. So that's the type of apple I'll put it to. Liam, did you find it green?
No, I was getting a nice red apple note off it as well.
Yeah.
Sweet, just the same as you had.
Yeah, 100%. This is a sweet red apple, right? Then what did you guys think? Did you find this fresh, jammy, or syrupy?
Jammy. I found it jammy, quite jammy, or maybe not jammy, but syrupy or syrupy jammy. You know, when it's cooked, it's a cooked apple, so it's like that sauce, apple sauce. So call it apple saucy. That's how I found it.
Apple saucy.
Apple saucy.
I'm gonna just add that option here to my notes. Apple saucy.
Yeah, I got an applesauce vibe off it as well. More syrupy than the junky, to be honest. I wanted a little bit of mouthfeel, a little bit more mouthfeel to it, as if it had chunks of baked apple in.
Yeah, syrupy for sure. That Liam, that goes to the next question. On the mouthfeel, do you think that this is a full mouthfeel, or do you think it's thin?
No, I actually had quite a full mouthfeel of it. It was, but more on syrupy lines, but yeah, no thinness at all. Deets?
Yeah, pretty much the same, exactly as you said.
Yeah, I think it's fuller, right? It's not as thin as it can be. It's definitely a little bit fuller, but it doesn't have a lot of weight to it. Even though that it's, I feel that it's a full mouthfeel experience. I don't know if it's got a lot of weight to it. Maybe I should have asked the question that way. Deets, what do you think?
Well, I agree. It depends on what you are going to use it with, I have to say. So it is not a thin profile, but it does not have weight in terms of that fullness of mouthfeel. But it's not a thin type of apple flavor. It's the sauce, but you could bulk it up a bit with a bit more texture.
Okay. Then the second last question that I wanted to ask is spicy. How spicy and what spices?
Definitely spicy, and it's spicy from cinnamon. Cinnamon spice is like that Christmas vibe, and other spices, but vanilla's not really a spice. But I pick up like a slight vanilla note in the background, but it's the baked type of flavor. Liam will probably pick up a million notes here.
I actually had a fairly mild cinnamon from it, to be honest. Spice wise, I didn't find it very spicy, but I'm not sure whether that's just my particular palate because I eat a lot of chili filled things anyway, so I'm used to heat and spice and stuff. I did test it at 1% though, so I'm not sure if you guys actually tested it a little bit higher than that.
Yes, slightly higher than that, but that's as much as I can go. But before that cinnamon note starts becoming, too overwhelming for me, I think, I might be a little bit sensitive to the cinnamon in there. So I find it quite spicy. But spicy meaning just like a handful of cinnamon in your face. You know what I mean? That kind of spicy.
Yeah.
Not hot, spicy, of course. But then you also spoke about a clove, Liam.
Yeah, that I couldn't tell whether it was clove or aniseed because it was so deep in the actual taste. It just stood out as not being cinnamon. Very aniseedy clove like. It was odd because it was something that I really wasn't expecting, but I have noticed before that I actually pick up clove from quite a few different apple flavors. So I'm not sure whether that's like something that they use to try and get like pip, the pip like taste from an apple.
Yeah, or to just back up that cinnamon that might be a little bit thin, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? Back it up with the clove, and then you get like a fuller cinnamon. I don't know if that's what they're doing here,
yeah.
but yeah, I can see how you get a clove there for sure. Then sweetness, guys. Deets, what did you think? How sweet is this on a scale of 1 to 10?
1 to 10, probably 7 or 6, somewhere there. It is quite sweet, but I like it sweet. So I think with that said, though, if you're going to pair it with something like super sweet, you're going to have a lot more sweet in it than you are expecting. So on its own, it is quite sweet, 7-ish to me.
Yeah, it's around 6-ish for me on the sweetness as well. But then I'd expect that from an apple filling because you'd use that extra sweetness to jamify it, syrup, make it syrupy.
Definitely not a bad way. Sorry, just it's sweet, but it should be. So it's a good spark to that profile.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's sweet, but I think it's authentic, to an apple filling that is pretty much made with sugar and apple or whatever the case is to get that. I mean, it ends up in like a jammy sort of gooey substance, and that is inherently really sweet. So yeah, I think it's pretty sweet, but authentically so. I think all in all, they did a fantastic job with this, with this flavor. It is what it is. You know what I mean? You buy it and you get what you bought. It's there's a lot of flavors on the market that you buy and you just get something completely different. This is not that. This is 100% apple filling. It's hard on the cinnamon, which I can imagine a lot of people are a little bit hard on the cinnamon. In a dessert like that, it's just got that warm sort of warm heart feeling to it. So that is what I'm getting from it, and I think successfully so. So yeah, kudos to FLV for nailing that profile. So let's just quickly go and see who else has joined us up in chat. I saw Ming there. What up, Ming? Where's Craig, dude? Where's Craig at? Who else is here? We've got Bigfoot. Nice to see you here, Bigfoot. We've got Rochelle E. Very nice to have you here. Ozone Genie. Hey, Theo. Hey, Ozone Genie. How's it going, man? Boom. There you go. Fist bump for you, my friend. Who else? We've got Train Sonic here. Welcome. Subvapes. Very nice to have you all here, guys. We are going to go off into the second part of the show, which is pretty much showing off the layers that we've built. Thank you very much for everybody in the chat, of course, for joining us. And I'll pretty much kick that off. I'm going to first just show you, so let me share my screen. I'm going to first just show you some of the failures, and then we'll get to, excuse me, we'll get to the final product. Okay, and I'll tell you what I tried to do. So I wanted to build a apple custard filling because I thought apple filling you would have to buff out the apple. I thought maybe okay, I could go FA Fuji apple, but I think Liam did that, so I'm glad I went another route on this. So what I wanted to do is like an apple custard filling, something close to what you get when you buy one of those McDonald's apple pies. It's almost got like a custard apple filling inside it, and this was the first direction I went in. So I 100% stole this custard, shake and vape custard, which is called Old School from Fresho 3. That is, of course, LB vanilla ice cream and FLV vanilla pudding. So what he does here is he cranks LB vanilla ice cream to, show some of those custard notes, and then uses the vanilla from vanilla pudding, shakes it up, and it gives you a pretty good, shake and vape custard, right? And then I just added 1% apple filling. Now, I wasn't too happy with this, and I'll tell you why. When you cook something or create something like an apple filling, you get this syrupy goo stuff on the side of it. Now, I wanted to have not more of that, brown syrupy goo stuff. I wanted to have like a custard instead of that, or mixed with that, right? And this was reading a lot like, a gooey apple filling. So I think in that regard, it did well, but I think apple filling on its own does that already. So this wasn't really getting to where I wanted to go. So this was a failure for me, right? Then this is another route I went. So I checked out Liam's Sherlock Holmes on ELR. I checked out his shake and vape custard. He makes use of custard premium at 3.5%. I started a little bit lower. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to add in TFA vanilla swirl at 2% and 1% FLV cream to just emulsify everything together and give it a little bit more body. I thought that this will read a lot more closer to a custard apple filling, but it was that I could get some of those custard notes, so it was definitely a step closer, right, to where I wanted it to be. However, it still had a lot of that goo stuff and not a lot of body or weight to it. And so this here was also, this is delicious, okay? If you try this out, this will be delicious, but it wasn't hitting, the mark where I wanted it to be, okay? And then I got to this here, all right? Now, this was my, this was the final layer that I had built, and I went a completely different direction here. I decided to not go with custard premium from FA, but rather go with Inuera custard at 3%. Then instead of vanilla swirl, I decided to go in with a cheesecake, and that's also something that Liam does with his shake and vape custard. He goes in with a cheesecake. So, pretty much took that idea. The graham crust in that TFA cheesecake just helps with the body, right? I'll go through all of the notes, and then golden butter. So let me go into what I wrote about this apple filling. This is not a complete recipe, but it is delicious, right? This is an apple filling with custard drenched all over it. It's delicious on its own, but you can get creative and add your own favorite crust or crumble layer to this, and you'll have a full dimensional vape, okay? And I made sure of this by making sure that you can shake and vape this, as well as, it already from the shake or off the shake, it's got a lot of body to it. And the cheesecake really helped me out, as well as the golden butter. Okay, so after a few attempts, I finally created a layer that I'm happy with to release. I'm a shake and vape kind of guy, and the biggest mission for me was to create a custard layer that has enough body right off the shake. So I knew, the apple filling is there. Okay, 1% FLV apple filling, and you are there. You're having a party, right? But then the most difficult part was to create a custard layer that would support that apple filling and have enough weight to it. Because if you're going to be adding a crust or a crumble layer to this, right, it might not have that much weight. It might just be an accent that imitates that shell or that, that pie crust or that crumble that gives you that idea. And it might not add enough body to the actual layer. So, I decided to give you that in this layer. Okay. So anywhere a custard, Nice full body custard, fastest steeper of the bunch. Also nice eggy notes to it, but needs a little bit help as a shake and vape. Then I added TFA cheesecake graham crust. This adds the body to the vape, and it was added low to not bring a cheesy cake to the party. Okay. Then I used Cap Golden Butter. This deepens the custard. Now that's a little hack right there. If you're working with custard or interested to work with custards, throw a little bit of butter in it. You know what I mean? TFA butter, don't go too hard on TFA butter, but Cap Golden Butter definitely deepens the custard a little bit and gives you a more authentic custard, right? And then FLV Apple Filling used at 1%. That's as far as I could push it. I didn't want it to take over this custard entirely. I wanted it to balance out with the custard for it just to kind of read as part of the custard. And yeah, that's pretty much what I created, right? I will share this link now with everybody in chat. Deets, do you want to share your side?
No, I don't. Okay, so with mine, is it shade? Can you see it? So I went for a plain apple filling. Well, not plain, but I went for an apple filling. I found that with FLV Apple Filling on its own, it was missing a few components, or it could be improved by doing a few minor adjustments. So I really didn't want to make it something into, or I didn't really want to veer off too far away from the Apple Filling part of this. So I just figured I'm going to add to it and see how I can broaden the profile a bit. So it's pretty simple. I just chose FLV Apple Filling at 1.5%. I feel any higher from 1.5%, the cinnamon, personally for my palate, starts getting a bit too much. I don't enjoy cinnamon or similar type of things all that much, but that's just personal preference. I mean, I find the same thing with something like milk and honey. It is an excellent concentrate, but I can't vape on it too long because to me it's a bit spicy, even though to most people it's a very delicious cream, which I mean I'm not disagreeing with. This is just my experience. So for the cinnamon's sake, I stuck to 1.5% on the apple filling, but it was missing a bit on the apple, especially if you were going to use it with something else. So what I did for the apple was I chose to go with Country Apple at 3% because it is a very visible apple without being sour and tart, and I think that just would improve and boost onto the authentic apple profile of the FLV Apple Filling. I also added in Flavor West Hazelnut at 1% just to smoothen and cream things up a little bit. I didn't really want to go with the cream because I felt the cream would just move over the apple filling a bit too much because of the apple filling on its own, where it's quite a dense profile. It was lacking as soon as you would add it with something. Like for instance, one of the mixes I made with this specific layer as it is right now, I added or I basically created a sugar cookie based on 6 strings Sweet Tree. She's got a recipe called Sweet Tree. So I went with the same type of structure for the sugar cookie, and I tried it with this one, but the sugar cookie seemed to just take over this layer as it is, and I found that with any other combination as well. So especially the ones I added cream with. So I had a previous layer where I had apple filling, country apple, and cream instead of the hazelnut. But if I added that with another cookie, then there was really not much of the apple filling left. So instead of a cream, I went with a hazelnut because I get a very creamy texture with hazelnut when it's used with a baked good like the apple filling. And I basically just have a very sweet and dense baked apple filling. I can see this working with baked goods, like a crust for a pie. Creams and ice creams, powdered sugar and marshmallow as an addition on top of that. Now, this is also where I just wanted to stop. I personally used in this recipe, or for my personal uses with this layer, I went with Flavora's vanilla marshmallow or marshmallow vanilla. That at 0.5% makes this layer just so smooth and a little bit more puffy or dense on the profile of the recipe or the layer itself. I did not include it in this recipe because it is a new flavor and it's not released yet. So I didn't figure there's much point in putting something in if I wanted most people to be able to use this layer. So I think you can add into this a marshmallow of your preference or a powdered sugar, which will complement a baked good or like a baked crust or pastry. So instead of my sugar cookie that ended up being a flop, I actually tried to make an apple filling or apple sauce drizzled over a sugar cookie where the sugar cookie just took over. I then changed my profile and went with an apple ice cream, which I guess some people can see as a apple cream. So as you can see here, I'm using the same layer there, the apple filling at 1.5%, country apple at 3%, creamy milky undertone I added here onto this recipe, and then there's the 1% hazelnut, which is still part of the layer. So apart from the layer, I added 2% creamy milky undertone, 1% marshmallow vanilla, 0.3% super sweet, 3% Albi vanilla ice cream, and 0.35% WS23. Now the WS23 is there because I believe a milkshake or ice cream needs to be cold in the same way that it needs to be sweet. But I did keep the sweetener a little bit low at 0.3. Now that's low in my preference because with the marshmallow vanilla, that sugar really it's boosted a lot and it tends to be a sweet recipe. So if you don't like sweetener all that much, then I would say in this one it really won't make that big a difference if you drop the super sweet out, because that marshmallow vanilla in combination with the apple filling's own sweetness just makes this sweet enough as an ice cream. Or a friend of mine actually said this tastes more like a milkshake to them. So whether you like it as an ice cream or a milkshake, I use my apple layer here. And strangely enough, as I mentioned, if I add cream into this layer, it seems to not work with if the layer includes the cream and I mix it into another recipe. But here, the layer is separate, added in, and then from that, I added in some creams and other stuff, and then it doesn't fade, which is a weird thing. So I guess it's keeping the hazelnut here instead of a cream, which makes this layer carry through when you combine it with something else like a milk or a cream like I've done here. So that's my recipes. The sugar cookie is not really worth sharing for me because it didn't really carry any of the apple filling or enough of the apple filling profile that I wanted it to. So it wasn't even close to what I wanted. So not worth sharing. Liam, how did yours go?
I was happy with the 2 layers I made. If you could share for me, please, Theo, the apple filling 2 first. If you're still there, because I'm unable to actually share because I'm on my mobile at the moment.
It's there. It's there.
The apple filling 2, please, Theo.
Okay, cool.
This one, basically, because I had the red apple from the Flavora apple filling, I wanted to try and enhance it a little bit more. I wanted to bring those apple notes up to bring it into a proper baked apple for me with chunks of apple. So I thought first off I'd go for the FA Fuji apple to try and bring that up. But at 2%, I think it might have been a little bit too light. So it didn't actually enhance it as much as I wanted to. It works, but it's not quite there. With that, I also added in 1/4% of FA liquid amber, because I thought if I'm going to be adding in a fresh apple, I should also add something in there to actually bake that apple. So the 1/4% liquid amber actually does that, bakes the apple and melds it in nicely with the apple filling. As I said, this one, I look at it as a fail because the FA Fuji apple wasn't quite high enough at 2%. I think if it was pushed up to 2.5%, possibly even 3, that would actually bring that up nicely. Now for the one that now for the layer that I'm really pleased with is my apple pie filling, the the first apple pie mix, which is 1.5% FLV Apple Filling, 2.5% Vape Train Fuji Red Apple, and 0.25% of that liquid amber again. Now, the reason for the Fuji Red Apple, when I tested that, I actually had a sweet, juicy red apple with a little bit of a mouthfeel as if you just bitten into an apple. So at 2.5%, this actually adds that chunky apple that I wanted. Again, the 0.25% liquid amber is added into that to ensure that that apple isn't going in raw. It's getting baked slightly and working nicely then with the FLV Apple Filling. Off a shaken vape, they're not quite melded together, but after 7 days, they meld together lovely. And to me, actually tastes like the apple pie filling that you get from a McDonald's apple pie. So I think this one would work very, very well with pastries, donuts, something like cinnamon Danish swirl, but I'd keep that low because of the cinnamon already in the apple pie filling. So I'd possibly layer that with vape train croissant or something like that. One thing that I didn't actually have time to do was I was working on a apple filled donut, but I didn't actually have enough time to test it, so I didn't send it over to Theo. But I was working on 4% FA Zeppela, 2% Wow, and 0.4% FA Joy, just to fill that donut out a little bit more. Now, in my head, this mix will actually work and give you a deep fried donut, like a carnival type of donut with a nice, sweet, slightly cinnamony apple filling inside. And that's my Layerz. Back over to you, Theo. You still there, Theo?
No audio. I'm not getting anything from him.
No,
So,
I think it's just me and you, Deets.
while he's getting his sound sorted, people in chat, what would you do with FLV Apple Filling? Craig, Ming, everyone else? Where's Steve's audio?
Can you guys hear me now?
There
Yep,
we go.
I can hear you now.
Okay, for some reason, I'm not on presenter mode or something. I don't know what I clicked, but at least everybody is getting the audio, so I'll have to click when I speak now. But that's pretty much all the layers. There was one more thing that I wanted to show everybody. Now, why are we doing this, guys? We're doing this so that people can actually take some of these layers and create other recipes with it, right? So go and check out all the layers that we've created. We've got a whole playlist full of layers that can be used. And, if you use one of them, just tag us in it. If you create a recipe from it, that pretty much is what we want everybody to do. Then what I also do then is I try out these recipes, and this is one of them, So Jennifer Winstead, she is a Mix and Vixen. She also is on JJ's, Jennifer Jarvis. She's on her Flavor Pro show, so go check out that channel as well. But she created this. This was on last week. We spoke about blackcurrant, and we were talking about FLV blackcurrant. But she took that idea, and of mixing a mango and a blackcurrant, and she created a pod mix or a MTL mix for it. And this is what she created. So the Juice Fairy, I'll pop this link also in chat so you guys can check it out. But it's lovely. It's divine. It's delicious. I tried this out just in a direct lung. It was vaping nice, but you can bump that up. Of course, the Juice Fairy, she is a super taster. So, you know, you can see those percentages are pretty low. You'll have to bump them up a little bit. I mean, she uses this in a pod and she gets full flavor. So you just have to, you know, to sort of think about that. You know what I mean? But yeah, that is it, guys. I think we've come to the end of the show. So just a couple of things. You know, make sure that you join us on Facebook, the Mixologist Facebook group. It's called Mixologist South Africa. A couple of people that we collaborate with is Daytime Frank. He's in the chat there. What's happening, my bro? It's nice to see you in chat. We've got Fresh Show 3 after his show. On Saturdays, we run Mixer Review. We did Mark SR, his Mixer Review last week. So go and check out that. Go and pick up some good recipes in there. Then DIY Down Under. Now, something's happening between TFV and DIY Down Under. Oh, yeah, people, I'm sorry. I don't know how to flip my camera around. It's, you know, it's the mirror view or something, but, you know, Google Hangouts doesn't have an option to just flip it around. So this is the wrong way around. Anyway, but DIY Down Under and TFV is going to have a mix-off. Our judges is going to be Emily, Fresho 3, and Shindo. And it's going to be, I think, about 3 heats, something like that. And it's going to be team effort. So there's going to be a DIY Down Under team, and there's going to be a TFV team. Of course, you know, most of the TFV members. And the whole point of it is just to, you know, have fun, hope a couple of good recipes come out of it, and, you know, some bragging rights, ultimately, for who will win, you know, coming from that. But yeah, guys, any other ideas that come to mind using FLV Apple Filling, leave those in the comments on this video below. All right. Like I said, thank you very much for joining us in chat. It's really nice to have you guys here and just hang out with us. It's super cool. And then, yeah, guys, remember to like the video and subscribe for those who aren't subscribed. Thank you very much. Like I said, you can find me at Mixologist. On ATF, I'm thefogvlog, so you can follow me there. Deets, where can everybody find you?
So I'm on the Mixologist Facebook group. I'm on Facebook as Deets Vape. I'm on all the flavors as Deets with 2 Z's in the end. E-liquid recipes Deets with 1 Z. And I'm active on the DIY section of our local forum called E6SA. Just want to quickly say, Ingbar, you should join us every Thursday. We'll keep it going next time. Yeah, that's basically where you guys can find me. And yeah, the Fog Blog on YouTube.
You can catch me as Sheerluck Ohms. That's Sheerluck _Ohms on ELR. That's where I post all of my recipes. You catch me on the Mixologists Facebook group as well, along with the rest of the Fog Vlog team. And I also hang out as admin in the Chef's Flavors Facebook group as well.
Cool, guys. That's pretty much it. I'm going to, I'm going to close everything off. Thank you very much for joining us, guys. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Cheers.
Thanks all.
Bye. Cheers. Bye.